Looking from your telescope, take me on this journey home. I don't wanna wait no more.
Hey guys, it's Linda, and today I am showing you how to make a bucket hat and a reversible one. I have this watermelon fabric that I got from Joann. Actually, I got them both from Joann, but this was in the outdoors fabric section, so in case you guys go, that's where I found it. And then this is a black corduroy that feels so good. If you guys are interested in getting the template, I have it on my Patreon account, so you can check it out there. And I also have all of my other plushie templates on there as well. Okay, so I want to go over the template before we start, just in case some of you guys are new to like pattern pieces. A is the top of the hat, B is the sides, and then C is the brim. So it's like the outer edge of the bucket hat. On your pattern pieces, you'll see some markings. This little spot right here on the edge is called a notch. Basically, you want to make these markings onto your cut pieces of fabric so that when you are matching up your two different pieces, you know where to line them up. With this one though, you'll see that there's a little line here and it says fold, and that means you're going to cut this edge on the fold of the fabric. So whatever fabric you're using, fold it in half, make sure that this is on grain, and then cut around these three sides, leaving this one uncut so that you can flip it open, and that way you have like a full-on piece. But you're going to do that for this one and then also for the brim. Okay, so first off, you're going to cut out your pattern pieces, and I have my watermelon fabric right here. It's folded with the grain line, so the grain is going this way. So start with your B and C patterns to lay it down so that it is literally like on that edge of that fold. So you're just gonna cut around the other three sides. And don't forget to snip at the little notches. So this is what B looks like when you open it up. Bam! You get like a whole piece. And then you're gonna cut two of these, two of the C's, and then one of the A. Okay, so once you have all of the pieces cut out, I like to start with the crown and the top pieces. So I'm gonna put the brims to the side. Take the B pieces and then lay them right side to right side. And then you're just gonna sew up the two side seams on both of them. Okay, so once you sewed up the two sides, this part is kind of optional. You can open up the seams and then do a top stitch so that it looks neater from the outside. And then also, if you have an iron, I would recommend pressing it. Okay, so once you have the side seam sewn up, you are going to attach the top part to this crown piece. So you kind of want to stand it up like that, and then you're going to take your top piece and then make sure that they are going to be right sides touching. Take your notch, match it up to that seam, and then you're just going to pin it into place. So this is what it should look like after you have it pinned to all of the notches. It looks kind of crazy, kind of like some torture tool, but you're going to just sew along this edge, the top edge here, the 1/2 inch seam allowance. So this is what it looks like after you sewed the top. You are going to flip it right side out, and then you're going to top stitch along that seam, but you want to top stitch all of that seam allowance down towards the crown of the hat. So I'm going to put these two aside, and then we can do the brim of the hat. And then for this, we are going to put these right sides together again so we can sew up that side seam. And then we're going to connect the two before we sew it onto the rest of the hat. Once you have the two brim pieces done, you want to lay them right sides to right side. So make sure you line up that seam and like where you top stitch together. It should lay like pretty flat. So I'm just gonna go in and pin where the seams are and at a few different points so that when I sew it doesn't move around. So once it's pinned, you're just gonna sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance around that entire edge. Once you have this giant donut, you are going to go in with your scissors, and then you only want to open it like less than 1/2 inch. That way you don't cut all the way through the rest of the hat. And you are going to cut into that seam allowance so that it gives it enough ease so when you flip it the other way around, you don't get any weird puckers. And I'm just gonna go in and cut them maybe like 1/2 inch apart. So you want it to look kind of like this, where it's like all frilly and kind of like a piñata. And then you're going to flip it right side out. I'm going to do an understitch. So it's basically kind of moving everything underneath to one side and then stitching it on top. And I'm going to move it all over to the watermelon side under here. And then I'm going to do that stitch really close to the edge. The next part is probably my favorite part. It's where you sew the lines into the brim. So I'm just going to pin this so that it's flat. I'm going to sew these probably like 3/8 an inch apart, but you can literally do however far apart you want, or you can even do like a zigzag stitch. This part you can just have fun with. We are going to start connecting the pieces, and I'm going to start with the corduroy piece, and then you want to flip this inside out, and then you are going to take your brim piece and make sure that the raw side is upwards. Put that in, match up the seams, and then of course you want to pin it so that it's secured. Okay, so it should look like this. It's like a weird shaped bowl with the right side of the corduroy touching and then the inside of the watermelon showing here. And now you are just going to sew. This time you're actually sewing a little bit under 1/2 inch. So just right under 1/2 inch and sew all the way around. After you sew up that edge and you flip it right side out, you get your bucket hat. It's not done, but it's so cute. Once you are here with the top side and then the rest of the hat, you are going to take this one, flip it inside out, just like you did the other side. Like that. And then with this one, you are going to kind of just smush it down like this, so that you have the watermelon on the outside, and then you're gonna stick this whole thing inside of the watermelon hat. And you're basically going to do the same thing you did on the other side, where you match up the seams. Okay, so this is what it should look like. Now we're going to sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance around this top edge. Make sure wherever you start or finish that you leave like a 2 to 3 inch opening so that you can flip the whole thing right side out afterwards. Flip this whole thing, like push all of the insides through that opening. Okay, so all you have left to do is just to hand sew that little opening closed. And I'm just gonna do an invisible stitch.
from your telescope. Take me on this journey home. I don't wanna wait no more. Lay me down behind the moon. Tell me you'll be on real soon. I don't wanna wait no more. We could be dancing in the stars. We could be floating on away. As long as I'm safely in your arms, and it don't really